Action.
So just really chaos on the water at this point.
Danger.
This is no game. We're here to do a real job.
Adventure.
I've been around the world twice and I've seen everything 3 times.
You're listening to Sea Story.
Episode 1, The Body Slam.
Hi, my name is Gorski. I'm a retired Navy commander. I was a surface warfare officer, served on 5 ships and several shore commands. This is my sea story. I was stationed aboard the USS Kansas City in the late 80s into the early 90s. What we had on the Kansas City, we went into a dry dock situation. We were stationed in Oakland, California. The dry dock was over in San Francisco, and because of we'll just say the seediness of the areas, the captain encouraged crew members to engage in welfare and recreation activities. And all it required was a senior chief petty officer and officer to go with the group, and they could go to the movies, they could go camping. Whatever it was, they could use the welfare and rec van and go. So several of my sailors were big fans of wrestling. And there was a wrestling event coming into town, and you may or may not know, back in the 80s, if you wanted to see 2 cool wrestlers wrestle against each other, you had to go to the live shows. Back then, on TV, it was a star versus this guy. So to go see him live, it was really a good event. These sailors decided that they wanted to go, and they knew that I was somewhat of a fan, so they asked me if I would be their escort. And I said, absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you guys want to go and have a few beers and relax and enjoy yourselves, I'll be the designated driver. I won't drink. I'll get you home safely. All will be well. So we went to this event, the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and it was very packed. And the crowd was exactly what you would expect, just excited and screaming and yelling. And my sailors were no different, and they were taking full advantage of the fact that I was their duty driver and really having a good time. And what I didn't realize was one of my sailors absolutely hated a wrestler named Blackjack Lanza. And Blackjack Lanza wore black chaps, a black leather vest, had the big, heavy black mustache and the cowboy hat.
Blackjack Lanza.
When they introduced him, my sailor was absolutely going nuts, screaming and yelling. And the next thing I know, my sailor takes off and starts heading towards the ring. Now, we were sitting up pretty high, so I felt pretty confident as I'm watching this that somebody, one of the, ushers, somebody would stop him as he was running. I was wrong. He made it all the way to the floor, and there was still probably 100, 150 feet between where he came down through the chairs that were up close to finally get into the ring. And that's where a few more of the aggressive ushers happened to be, and they saw him, and they positioned themselves to try to fend him off. Now, what was occurring in the crowd, once he hit the floor, everybody noticed. So everybody was like cheering and screaming at this idiot, if you will, that was trying to get into the ring. Well, he's pretty spry. He ducked under one guy, ducked over another guy, and the next thing I know, my sailor is diving into the ring, and the crowd it's getting louder every time he does something. I mean, it is just going absolutely nuts in this place. Dives into the ring, goes running over at Blackjack Lanza, and you gotta understand, Lanza probably stood about 6'4", Quinn stood about 5'9". Just ran up to him and just gave him a forearm. Crowd is going absolutely nuts. He hits him with the forearm right in the chest, and Lanza just kind of looks around, looks at the crowd, everybody screaming and yelling, reaches down, scoops the kid up, and holds him up over his head. And the crowd just, it was so loud in that place, screaming and yelling. He's walking around the ring with this kid, and before you know it, right in the middle of the ring, bam, full body slam. I'm sure with the boot on the floor so my kid didn't get hurt, but slammed him down hard. Well, a couple of refs came from the back, and they grabbed him out of the ring, and they took him in the back, and it was pandemonium in this place. It was crazy. Then people started booing Lanza for body slamming my kid. So we go back to the stands where I'm watching in horror as my young sailors being dragged into the back. I start making my way down to where I'd have to obviously pick him up or sign for him or pay a fine or whatever. And so I go and I'm asking ushers, that was my sailor, I gotta go get him. Oh, they're directing me down, so I'm down in the depths of the Cow Palace, going down the final tunnel, and out of the other end of the tunnel comes my sailor. He's got 3 other wrestlers around. He's got a stack of autographed photographs in his hand from every wrestler that was at that event. That was crazy, Quinn. You come back anytime. You livened us up. You appreciate. They loved it. No fines, no nothing. Just, hey, this is your kid. Get him home safely. So I took him home, took him back to the ship. Of course, I had to call the captain because I knew the story would reach like wildfire. And the captain just listened to my story and he said, anybody get hurt? I said, no, sir. Anybody go to jail? No, sir. He said, very well. Have a good night. And that was it.
On the next episode of Sea Story.
And I was just doing everything I could not to hit the shark, and the next thing I know, I bumped into the shark with my chest.
Sea Story is brought to you by America's Navy. Learn more at Navy.com.